Hello everybody, welcome to Intro to Research Methods, which I'm also calling Intro to Research Design and Methods because we're going to be talking a lot about research design because research design sort of drives research methods. My name's Eric Hodges. I'm your instructor for the course. I'll tell you a little bit about myself because I'm going to ask you guys to do a little introduction of yourselves as well, just so we can sort of get to know each other. I know some of us have been in class together, but there are a lot of you that I don't know, and a lot of your classmates don't know, so it'd be great if we can sort of get to know one another. Okay, so I'm Eric Hodges, and I just finished my first year teaching at USF Sarasota Manatee. I am in political science primarily, but I also teach classes in interdisciplinary social sciences. So I finished my PhD last year, or the year before I started. I graduated from Virginia Tech, which is in Blacksburg, Virginia, which is where I'm from. I grew up in Virginia. My PhD was in political science. Governance and globalization was the term. And my research focused on military veterans and whether military veterans were sort of politically engaged in their communities or civically engaged. I chose that topic because I am a veteran myself. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and while I was at school, I noticed a lot of vets were actually coming back, so I became interested in how can I help these veterans reintegrate. I teach a class at USF. It's a Pillars course for civic engagement and diversity. It's on veterans reintegration and resilience. So if you guys are interested in the topic of veterans, and how it relates to a lot of other issues in society like race and gender, higher education, employment rates, things like that, let me know. I'll be teaching the class again in the spring, I believe. So if you have questions about that course or other courses I teach, let me know. I teach Intro to American Government. I teach American Political Theory. I'm teaching a course in the fall on Intro to Political Theory, which will we'll go all the way back to Plato and sort of work our way through sort of Western political thought. We're not going to get too much into Eastern political thought. I'm married. I just got married last year, and if I look tired, maybe not today, but somewhere down the road, it's because I just had a baby. So we have my wife and I have a two-week-old daughter. Her name is Adelaide. So she hasn't been letting us get too much sleep. So I'll try to be as coherent as possible in these videos when you're sending me an email. But I'm having to draw on my Marine Corps training to work through the sleep deprivation. So anyway, that's me. I'm sure more about me will come to light as the semester moves forward. So okay, so that's me. So the course, Intro to Social Sciences. Social sciences is important because we're not going to be talking about research design and methods in the natural sciences or in the humanities, things like that. The arts, there are lots of different research methods, and there's actually a lot of controversy out there about should we just teach one research methods course that spans the entire university? Should each discipline teach their own research design and methods course? But I personally think that research design and research methods are very closely tied to sort of disciplinary perspectives. So I think it's good to have these different research methods courses, and even with this, we're lumping lots of social sciences together under research methods, even though something like economics and anthropology are coming from two very different places. So we're already sort of not paying heed to some of the major differences, but we'll talk about that as we go forward. Okay, so what is it? What is research design and methods, and why are you interested in it besides the fact that this is a required course if you're going through the ISS program, right? So before you enter this course, you're supposed to take the Intro to Interdisciplinary Social Sciences course, ISS 3010, and Social Statistics course as well. So assuming that everybody is on board with that. So yeah, this is the next this is the next step, right? So why is this important? Well, as academics, professors don't just teach. They're very interested in research. They're very interested in developing new theories, testing existing theories on whatever your field might be. Like, for instance, for me, I'm very interested to know in political science why people vote, why people engage in political campaigns. How can we get the current generation to be more engaged in the political process? Because I think that if our democracy is going to work, then our citizens have to be politically engaged. And there have been studies that have said that political engagement among this generation is the lowest it's been in a long time. So I think that's a problem. That's an example of things that I'm interested in, right? So we start with a question, right? And that's why I asked you guys in the email to try to think about something that you're really interested in. You're all supposed to have sort of two cognates at this point. And if you've taken my Intro to Social Sciences course, I've been pushing this throughout the entire semester, because it really should be an evolution through the ISS program, right? In the intro, you start to sort of refine your topic, think about it. In the research methods, we start thinking about ways that you can actually figure out answers to this question. What are some good methods to take? And then it's supposed to culminate in your in the capstone, the senior capstone course, right? But we're adding an element into it now. I don't think it will be starting this fall, but maybe next fall, where there's even going to be an internship component to the ISS program. But anyway, this is where you need to start thinking about, okay, in the intro you think, okay, this is the question I'm interested in, right? And in this one you think about, okay, this is how I could potentially try to get at answering the question that I'm interested in. And the thing that I often do in my intro class is I will say, and this is kind of kitschy, but imagine you had a magic wand, right? Or a magic 8-ball, let's say, right? And you have a question about society that you want answered. For instance, you want to know what role racial prejudice plays in arrests, in police behavior, or you want to know what role religious identity plays in support of same-sex marriage, or you want to know about whether the legalization of marijuana, if it affects crime rates in a state or not. Any of these questions like that. Whatever you're really curious about. Maybe you want to know how the media and how video games affect violent behavior among adolescents, or opinions about violent behavior. Anything like that. Anything that just sort of strikes you as really interesting, really curious. I want you guys to think about that and sort of try to hone in on that. And that should really help you as we're going through the course, trying to figure out which sort of design and methods makes the most sense to try to answer that particular question, right? So, because if you don't have a question, it's hard to design a research project. And that's essentially what we're doing. The primary goal of this course is going to be to end up with a research proposal, right? Where you're saying, this is the kind of research that I want to, this is the question that I have. Here's the perspective I want to come from. Here are the theories I want to test, or here's how I want to generate new theories. Here are the best methods to do that, right? So, but it all starts with a question, or an interest even. It really all starts with an interest, right? What are you curious about? What are you interested in? And once we nail that down, then we can really start, hit the ground running. But I do want to say that finding a question is the hardest part, and it's an iterative process. So you start out with, okay, I'm interested in the legalization of marijuana. I'm interested in euthanasia. I saw this interesting video, Bruce Jenner, so I'm interested in transgender issues, right? Something like that, something that catches your eye. And then we have to figure out, how can we turn that into a researchable question, right? So researchable question has sort of two components, right? There's something that needs to be explained, and there's something that's doing the explaining, right? That's sort of a traditional setup of a research question. It's often called the dependent and the independent variable, right? So we're going to get more into that as we work our way through the course. But the key is to start with the question. I don't know if you guys have seen The Matrix or not, but it's one of my favorite movies, and the guy, Morpheus, says it's the question that drives us, right? So yeah, it's the question that drives this course, and it's the question that drives research. So anyway, that's just sort of my 5-minute overview of what we're going to be doing in the course. So let's try to break it down a little bit more. So we have our question, right? We come up with our question. Then we have to figure out, how do we answer this question? Which disciplines are most suited to answer this question? And ideally, if the ISS program is designed correctly, the cognates that you chose should align with the question that you ask, right? So if you're interested in how the legalization of marijuana affects criminal behavior, right? It would seem that perhaps a logical two disciplines for that could be political science, talking about laws, policies, things like that, and crime rates, looking from a criminology perspective. So something along those lines, right? And then each discipline, political science, criminology, they all have sort of a base of theories, right? And we're going to be talking about theories a lot in the class. Theories and explanation, right? It's just trying to explain something that's going on in the world. If we find that, the legalization of marijuana does affect, raise, criminal rates, there needs to be an explanation for that. Why is that the case? And that's where the theory actually comes in. So that's what a theory is. And depending upon the type of methodology that you choose, whether it's quantitative, which is based in numbers, or qualitative, which is based in sort of more conversation, interviews, observations, things like, not numbers, right? Really sort of going into detail about a certain phenomenon. Depending on which one of those you choose, you're going to be trying to do two things. If you're looking at quantitative data, primarily what you're trying to do is you're trying to test an existing theory. The theory that says legalization of marijuana leads to increase in automobile accidents. That's your theory, right? So then you go out and you create the survey to test that theory and see if it's actually true. Or if you're doing a more qualitative, sort of open-ended emergent study, you may just ask, a more open-ended question. What is the effect of the legalization of marijuana on crime rates, or something like that, right? And then you're going through and you're going to be actually building your theory from the ground up as you go. It's called grounded theory. So we have to figure out which disciplines we come from. Each discipline they sort of have their own biases, their own perspectives. Certain disciplines prefer more hard quantitative data. Other disciplines prefer more qualitative, sort of open-ended, really getting into the details data. So that's something that we have to consider as we're trying to design our research project as well. How we're going to utilize existing information, right? So that's where the literature review comes in. You have to make sure that you're not doing something, you're not recreating the wheel. You're not doing a study that somebody else has already undertaken, and what can the existing theories tell us? And this is important, especially for you guys, because in your capstone class, you're not going to be going out and doing research yourself. You're not going out to collect data. If you're in the honors program, maybe you are. Maybe you're going out to collect original data. But for the ISS program, you're utilizing existing data. So the question becomes then, well, why do I need to know about research methods, right? And you need to know about research methods because the existing data that you're going to be reviewing has been gathered by people who have used certain types of research methods and certain type of research designs. And if you're going to evaluate that data and those theories, you need to understand how that person collected that data, why they went about it the way that they did, what are some of the potential weaknesses of that data, of that particular method, what are some of the strengths of that method, could it have been supplemented by another method. These are all important insights to have when you're trying to evaluate theories and data. So that's why research method and designs are so important. Obviously, if you're working, we're going to talk about research ethics. If you're working with people, especially, there's been sort of a nasty tradition throughout history of people, conducting unethical research, right? Whether it was the Nazis conducting experiments on some of the concentration camp population, or the Japanese, doing terrible things to sort of Chinese prisoners of war, or even the American government, treating a certain segment of the population very unethically, and being deceitful about it. So there's a need to have sort of ethical guidelines to govern the way that we carry out our research, because there is potential to hurt other people, right, in the way that we carry out our research. And it brings up interesting ethical questions about whether the end justifies the means. But there are these guidelines. There's something called the IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board, which was set up by the Belmont Report. But each institution that carries out research is required to have an institutional review board. So if you were going to go out and do actual research, you would have to submit, like the research proposal we're going to have at the end of the course, you would have to submit that to the Institutional Review Board, which is comprised of faculty members, mostly within the university, but then there are external reviewers as well. So yeah, just a way to make sure that things are being done as they should, ethically. Okay, so format of the course. Obviously, it's an online course, so it's not going to be, we're not going to be meeting anywhere, with the exception of me doing the videos and us meeting on our Canvas site. So the majority of the class is going to happen on Canvas. Here's the way that a typical week will break down. On a Monday, just like today, I will film a video, right? And typically what the video is going to be doing is it's going to be reflecting on last week's discussion question, because each week we're going to have a discussion question. Because I believe that, and we've all taken online classes that have not been, very instructional, let's say, right? Because it turns into this thing where the instructor posts a reading, and you read that, and maybe they post a discussion question, things like that, and it turns into one of these things where you're just out there on your own doing it, right? And personally, I don't think that's the way that we learn. I think that if you do it that way, you're missing a sort of a key element of classroom learning, and that involves the interaction between all of us, right? It's not just an interaction between the instructor and the student. There has to be an interaction between student and student, because not only will you be learning stuff from me and from the readings, but you'll also be learning stuff from each other, and I'll be learning stuff from you guys, right? It's sort of it's not a one-way communication from me to you. It's sort of an ecosystem, right? It's an ecosystem of learning. So the important thing in an online class is trying to maintain that. All that to say, we're going to have robust discussions. So I'll post my intro video on Monday. It'll be reflecting on sort of the discussion from the previous week, and then I'll be introducing the topics for this week. Now, I'm not going to lecture about the particular topics that week. Like, for instance, let's say next week we're looking at the basics of research design, right? So let's say that we were looking at the basics of research design this week. I'm not going to start the week off talking about the basics of research design. The reason I'm not going to do that is because I want you guys to read what Creswell has to say. And I'm going to design my discussion question in such a way that I want you to demonstrate that you've read what Creswell has to say, and I want to hear what you have to think, what you have to say about it. It's not going to be one of these things where I tell you what the basics of research design, and then you parrot it back in the research question. You're going to have to try to absorb this material on your own. And then the week afterwards, I'll participate in the discussions as well. I'll say, well, that's a good point, but have you considered this? And then the next week, the week after that, is when I would say, okay, this is what you guys talked about in the Basics of Research Design. Here are some of the themes I saw, and based on what Cresswell had to say and my own experience, here are some of the things that you might have missed, and the things that you might want to consider, right? So yeah, I'll introduce the topic, but I'm not going to lecture on that topic before the discussion question, because I want the learning to happen actually in the discussion, and then after, in the next week, in sort of like the debrief stage, right? So that's typically the way that'll work. And as you'll see on the syllabus, participation counts for 30% of your grade. So if you're doing the reading, and if you're responding to the discussion questions in the way that I say, state in the syllabus, then you've got 30%. It's easy 30%, right? So you're off. I mean, you should already be in great shape. If you come in, you pay attention, you do the work. I know it's the summer, but it's not going to require a ton of effort for you. I just ask that you do the things that I'm sort of setting out to do on the syllabus, and you guys should get a good grade, right? It's not going to be hard to get a good grade in this class if you participate and if you actually try, right? So that's the bottom line. I don't expect you guys to be whizzes on research design and methods, but I do expect you to try, and I expect you to participate. And if you do that, then you'll do well. If you don't participate, right, you could be the smartest guy in the world, right, or the smartest gal in the world, and you never participate, you don't do the readings, but you take the quizzes and you get 100 on all the quizzes, and you do a great job on the midterm exam and all that. You're still missing 30% of the grade, right, if you never participated. So you're already starting with a 70. So please participate, because that's how we learn, right? And I'm not saying that things like midterms and final papers aren't important. They are. But more learning happens in our interactions week by week than probably is going to happen during the midterm or your final paper or whatever. So anyway, that's sorry for getting on my soapbox. But I will post the discussion question or the assignment for that week on Wednesday. All right, so video on Monday, assignment on Wednesday. What I'm asking you guys to do, and I'm going to break you up there are 11 of us in the class. So I'm going to break you up into two groups, one of 6 and one of 5. Right? And then halfway through the semester, I may switch them up, switch up the groups, who's in what. And so you'll participate, you'll respond to my discussion question in your groups, and I want you to respond to my initial question within 24 hours of my posting. So if I post my initial question at Wednesday at noon, I expect you to respond by Thursday at noon to get full credit. But that's not enough, right? Because what I want you guys to do, in addition to responding to my question, is I want you to read your group's posts, and I want you to respond to at least one other student. And I'm giving you guys until Sunday at 5 p.m. of each week to do that. You can find all these guidelines listed in the syllabus. So Monday video, Wednesday discussion question, you have until Thursday to respond to my question, and you have until Sunday to respond to one of your group members' posts. And if you respond to my question within 24 hours and you respond to at least one of your group members by Sunday at 5 p.m., you're going to get full credit for participation for that particular week. So, and if you'll notice that I have the grading for the course is not it's not on a percentage basis. So like if you look on Canvas and you see that you have an 87%, that's not what I'm going by. I'm going by the particular point scale that I have on page 3. I noticed on the syllabus that I have that your participation grade is going to be 0 to 10. That's actually incorrect. It's because this is an abbreviated course. It's going to be 0 to 15 because we have 10 weeks. So the final point count is 150 points for participation. So it's going to be 0 through 15. And if you respond to my question within 24 hours and you respond to your group members by Sunday at 5 p.m., then you'll get the full 15 points. If you just respond to my question within 24 hours and you don't respond to a group member, you'll get half of that. You'll get 7.5 points. And then there could be gradations in there where if you respond to my question, but it's obvious that you haven't read the material, maybe I don't give you full credit for that, right? Or if you just respond to your classmate by saying, "Good job," that's not what I'm looking for. I want you to give a thoughtful response to your classmate. So yeah, that's how the participation is going to work, right? So the only thing I will post a new syllabus that lists this. It's 0 to 15 points, right? Not 0 to 10 for the weekly participation grade. Okay, and in addition to the participation, we're going to have 4 quizzes throughout the semester. And quiz 1 is going to be this week. And what I will do is I will post the quiz on Friday morning at 7 a.m. And you guys will have from Friday morning at 7 a.m. until midnight on Saturday to complete it. The quizzes are going to be open book, right? All I want to do is I want to make sure in these quizzes that you have gotten certain key points from the readings that I want you to take away. So if you have to go back to the book to find it, great. I'm glad you're going to pick up on that. So there'll be open book, 10 questions, combination of true, false, and multiple choice. Pretty easy. Should be pretty easy grades, right? Each one's 25 points, I believe. Yep. And the quiz this week will be on the syllabus, because understanding what's on the syllabus is going to save us both a lot of heartache, because most of the information that you need to know about the course on the syllabus, right? So read the syllabus. It's important. Okay. So, and in addition to that, we're going to have a midterm exam. Same deal with the midterm exam. I'll open it up on Friday at 7 a.m. You'll have until Saturday at midnight. The only difference is the midterm is not open book. The midterm is closed book. And they're going to be true, false, they're going to be multiple choice, but they're also going to be discussion questions at the end. So it's going to be adding another element to it. And then the final aspect of the course is writing a social science research proposal. And the entire second half of the course is going to be dedicated to writing that research proposal. So we're going to be working on that quite a bit. But that's going to be the final deliverable that we're actually working to. And that's it. Those are the assignments. So remember, traditional week, Monday, I'll introduce the topic. I'll talk about last week, and if there are any sort of administrative things that we need to talk about, like there's a quiz coming up on Friday, I will talk about that in the video. So it's very important that you watch the video, because that's how I communicate with you guys. So this week we're not actually going to have a discussion question, because as I said, I think it's really important for us to get to know one another in the class. So this week your assignment is going to be to do an intro video like I'm doing right now. Hopefully you can find a webcam, film a video. It's really easy. I'm going to post a sort of a discussion post and say post your introductions here, right? So if you can film a video, upload it to YouTube, and then post that link in response to my discussion question, that's how we can access your video. I understand some people may not have access to a webcam. If you don't, it's okay. I'd prefer that you use a webcam, but if you can't, post a picture of yourself and write a text summary of sort of your bio, and that'll suffice. But I want us to be able to at least sort of put a face and sort of a general background. Just talk about who you are, where you're from, what year you are at USF. What your cognates are, what you're interested in studying, and something interesting about yourself, like what are you up to this summer, what are your interests, something that we may not know just by knowing what year you are and what your disciplines are. Okay, so that's essentially how that's going to work. And then there's going to be a quiz. Quiz 1 is on Friday. It's going to be an open book quiz, and it's going to be on the syllabus. So you can refer to the syllabus to answer those questions. Let's see, what else do I want to say? Here's the book, John Cresswell's 3rd edition Research Design. If you guys don't have a copy yet, please pick one up. It is, you can get it on Amazon for about $6, I think. So it's going to save you a lot of money versus spending $50 at the bookstore buying it. So pick up a copy of this. If you guys are having trouble getting a copy, let me know. Let me just look through the syllabus to make sure I'm not missing anything. Everything's going to be done on Canvas, right? So the quizzes will be done on Canvas, the midterm will be done on Canvas, the videos will be posted on Canvas. Plagiarism software, don't plagiarize. It's going to be hard to do with the research proposal because it's going to be original. As I said on the participation, I need to make a change on the syllabus, so I'll upload a new syllabus today that says it'll be between 0 and 15 points per week rather than 0 to 10. I'm not going to be around this summer. My wife and I are traveling to Virginia, so I won't be in the office, but if you need me, you can call me, shoot me an email would be the best way to do it, and then if we need to set up a phone call or something like that, we can do that. May not respond to your email messages on the weekend. There are the traditional USF policies listed on page 5. Have a look at those. And then, most importantly, make sure that you're, can't keep up with which direction I should be going with the syllabus. Make sure you're looking on page 6 and page 7 at the course schedule. That's the most important part, right? I mean, here you can see week 1, right? So it tells you week 1, this is our topic. We're doing an introduction. The readings for this week are the course syllabus. And then finally it talks about your assignments. You know, as I said, I want you guys to do a video intro and quiz 1, and it tells you it's due by Saturday at midnight. So this is what you need to be looking at. Week 2, it tells you, like, for instance, the reading for week 2 is chapter 1 of Creswell, right? So this is sort of your Bible here. This is what's going to tell you what you need to know and what you need to do each week. But I'll be covering that as well in the videos. So between reading the syllabus and the videos, you should be in good shape. I think that's all I have for you guys. I hope you have some fun doing the intros. You know, a minute maybe. Just talk for a minute about yourselves, just so we can figure out who you are. By next week, I'll have you put into different groups, and I will post, you know, who's in group 1, who's in group 2. And when the discussion question comes up on Wednesday, it'll say respond in group 1 or respond in group 2, and just whichever group I said, respond in that. All right, but it should be fun. You know, research can be fun, believe it or not. But the key is finding something that you actually care about. All right, you know, and you know, start thinking about topics right now. And if you have an idea for a topic that's off the wall or whatever, talk to me about it. Shoot me an email, and I will say, okay, well, maybe we can think about, you know, maybe you're interested in video games. We can think about video games this way. Maybe you're interested in film. We can think about film this way. Whatever you're interested in, there's a way to turn it into a research question. So anyway, that's it. I'm looking forward to the semester. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. And I look forward to seeing your intro videos. Have a good week.